the story of fire begins. Fire's story starts not with humans, but with the universe itself. Long before the first spark was struck on Earth, fire existed in the hearts of stars, in the violent birth of galaxies, in the chemical reactions that shaped planets. Here on Earth, fire waited. It waited in the potential energy of organic molecules, in the oxygen building up in our atmosphere, in the lightning that occasionally struck dry forests. Fire was always there, dormant, ready. It took only the right conditions, fuel, heat, and oxygen, to awaken it. When those three elements finally came together, fire emerged, not as a substance, but as a process, a transformation, energy being released, atoms rearranging, light spilling forth. The story of fire is the story of change itself, of potential becoming kinetic, of stillness becoming motion. And when our ancestors first witnessed it, perhaps from a lightning strike or a volcanic flow, they saw something profound. They saw transformation made visible, energy dancing in the air. The ancient element of transformation. The ancient Greeks called fire one of the four fundamental elements. Alongside earth, water, and air. They weren't entirely wrong, though we now understand fire differently, as a chemical reaction rather than a fundamental substance. They recognize something essential. Fire transforms. It changes everything it touches. Wood becomes ash and smoke. Food becomes cooked and digestible. Metal becomes malleable. Clay becomes pottery. Fire is the element of transformation, the bridge between one state and another. In alchemy, fire was the agent of purification, burning away impurities to reveal what was essential. This metaphor persists because it captures a truth. Fire doesn't just destroy, it refines, it reveals, it transforms base materials into something new. The ancient element of transformation lives on in every flame, every spark, every glowing ember. When we watch fire, we're witnessing the most visible form of change in nature, energy shifting from chemical potential into light and heat, matter reorganizing itself before our eyes. The chemistry of a flame. At its heart, fire is chemistry. It's a rapid oxidation reaction, where fuel molecules combine with oxygen from the air, breaking apart and reforming into new compounds. The chemistry of a flame is elegant in its simplicity. Take wood, for example. It's made primarily of cellulose, long chains of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. When heated enough, these chains break apart. The carbon and hydrogen atoms combine with oxygen from the air, forming carbon dioxide and water vapor. But this happens so quickly, with so much energy released, that the reaction glows. The heat excites molecules in the flame, causing them to emit light. Different molecules emit different colors, which is why flames have such varied hues. The chemistry of a flame is a cascade of breaking and bonding, atoms finding new partners, energy flowing from potential to kinetic. It happens millions of times per second in every flame, an invisible dance at the molecular level that we perceive as flickering light and warmth. The spark that starts it all. Every fire begins with a spark, a moment when fuel reaches its ignition temperature. The spark that starts it all might be friction between two sticks, a focused beam of sunlight through glass, a struck match, or a bolt of lightning. But whatever the source, it provides the activation energy needed to begin the reaction. Before the spark, the fuel is stable, its molecules content in their current arrangement. The spark disrupts that stability. It adds enough heat to break the first chemical bonds, starting a chain reaction. Those initial broken bonds release energy, which breaks more bonds, which releases more energy. The reaction becomes self-sustaining. The spark is the catalyst, the push that tips potential into action. It's the moment fire awakens, when chemical energy stored over years or decades is suddenly released. In that instant, stillness becomes motion, cold becomes hot, darkness becomes light. The spark is the beginning, the initiation, the threshold between not fire and fire. The dance of heat and oxygen. Fire needs two partners to dance: heat and oxygen. Without both, the dance cannot happen. The dance of heat and oxygen is a delicate balance. Too little oxygen, and the flame smothers, unable to sustain its reaction. Too much, and it burns too fast, consuming fuel before it can release its full potential. Heat drives the reaction, breaking chemical bonds, maintaining the temperature needed for combustion. Oxygen accepts the electrons, combining with carbon and hydrogen to form stable end products. Together, they create the conditions for fire to exist. This dance is visible in the flame's behavior. When you blow gently on embers, you add oxygen, and the flame brightens. When you smother a fire, cutting off oxygen, it dims and dies. The dance of heat and oxygen is a partnership, a give and take, a balance that must be maintained for fire to continue. It's chemistry in motion, elements cooperating to transform energy. The color of burning light. Flames glow in colors that tell stories about temperature and chemistry. The color of burning light ranges from deep red to brilliant white, each hue revealing something about the fire's nature. The coolest parts of a flame burn red or orange, around 1000 degrees Celsius. These are the outer edges, where combustion is incomplete, where soot particles glow like tiny embers. As temperature increases, the color shifts to yellow, then white, then blue. The blue heart of a candle flame can reach 1400 degrees or more. Different chemicals add their own colors. Copper burns green, sodium burns yellow-orange, potassium burns purple. These colors come from excited electrons, jumping between energy levels, emitting specific wavelengths of light as they fall back down. The color of burning light is a visible spectrum of temperature and composition, a language written in photons, telling us exactly what's happening in the flame's heart. The flicker that calms the mind. There's something deeply soothing about watching fire flicker. The flicker that calms the mind isn't random. It's the visible result of complex fluid dynamics, air currents, and combustion rates. But to our eyes and brains, it's hypnotic. Studies show that watching fire lowers blood pressure, reduces stress, and induces a meditative state. Why? Perhaps it's evolutionary. For hundreds of thousands of years, fire meant safety, warmth, community. Our ancestors gathered around flames, and our brains learned to associate that flickering light with security. Or perhaps it's the pattern itself. Fire is neither fully predictable nor completely chaotic. It exists in that sweet spot between order and randomness that the brain finds endlessly engaging. The flicker draws us in, holds our attention without demanding it, allows our minds to wander while staying gently focused. It's a natural meditation, a moving mandala of light and shadow. The sound of wood crackling. Listen closely to a fire, and you'll hear a symphony. The sound of wood crackling is the sound of transformation. As wood heats, water trapped inside turns to steam. The pressure builds until the wood fibers burst, releasing the steam in small explosions, pops and cracks and snaps. Resin pockets explode with sharper reports. The wood itself splits and shifts as it burns unevenly, settling with sighs and groans. These sounds are soothing because they're irregular yet rhythmic, unpredictable yet familiar. They provide an auditory texture, filling silence without overwhelming it. The crackle of wood is a conversation with the fire, a feedback loop of heat and structure, energy and matter. Each pop is a tiny story, a molecule breaking, a fiber surrendering, a packet of energy being released. The sound of wood crackling is the voice of transformation, speaking in a language older than words. The shapes hidden in the flame. Look closely at a flame, and you'll see shapes that seem almost alive. The shapes hidden in the flame are fluid and ever-changing tongues of light that reach and curl, wisps that spiral upward, veils that shimmer and fold. These aren't random. They're the visible manifestation of convection currents. Hot gases rising, cooler air rushing in. The flame shape is determined by gravity, air flow, fuel composition, and heat distribution. A candle flame in still air forms a teardrop with a dark core surrounded by glowing zones. A campfire creates towering pillars and dancing sheets. In microgravity, flames are spherical, spreading in all directions equally. The shapes we see are evidence of invisible forces, air molecules colliding, heat rising, oxygen flowing. The shapes hidden in the flame are nature's sculpture, carved from nothing but energy and gas, existing for a moment before dissolving into the next form. The glow that feels alive. Fire doesn't just look alive, it behaves like a living thing. The glow that feels alive responds to its environment, breathing in oxygen, consuming fuel, growing and shrinking with available resources. It moves, reacts, adapts. When wind blows, fire bends and shifts. When fuel is added, it surges. When smothered, it fights for oxygen. This isn't consciousness, of course. It's chemistry and physics. But the parallels are striking. Fire metabolizes fuel, extracting energy. It reproduces, spreading to new fuel sources. It responds to stimuli. It exists in a delicate balance between growth and extinction. The glow that feels alive resonates with us because we recognize these patterns. We see in fire a reflection of life's fundamental processes: consumption, growth, response, eventual decline. Fire is a mirror, showing us the basic principles that govern all dynamic systems, from chemical reactions to living organisms. The glow feels alive because, in a way, it is. The temperature of light. Not all light is created equal. The temperature of light varies with the flame's heat, creating a spectrum of warmth. Red light comes from cooler regions, around 800 degrees Celsius, orange and yellow from intermediate zones, white and blue from the hottest areas. This relationship between temperature and color is universal. Stars follow the same pattern. Cool stars glow red, hot stars blue. It's called black body radiation, the way matter emits light based purely on temperature. In a flame, we're seeing this principle in action. The temperature of light tells us how much energy is being released, how efficiently the fuel is burning, how complete the combustion is. Hotter flames are more efficient, burning fuel more completely, releasing more energy per molecule. Cooler flames are wasteful, producing more soot and unburned particles. The temperature of light is information encoded in photons, a direct readout of the fire's internal state. The blue heart of a candle flame. Look closely at a candle flame, and you'll notice something beautiful. The blue heart of a candle flame glows at the base, a thin ring of intense heat where combustion is most complete. This blue zone is the hottest part, where vaporized wax meets oxygen in perfect proportion. Here, nearly all the fuel burns cleanly, producing primarily carbon dioxide and water vapor. The blue light comes from excited carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon molecules, emitting photons as they react. Above this blue ring sits a darker zone, where fuel is vaporizing but not yet burning. Then comes the bright yellow-orange body of the flame, where incomplete combustion creates glowing soot particles. Finally, the faint outer halo, where cooler gases mix with air. The blue heart of a candle flame is a map of chemistry, each zone representing a different stage of combustion, a different balance of fuel, oxygen, and heat. The gentle rise of warm air. Fire and heat are inseparable, and heat makes air rise. The gentle rise of warm air is what gives flames their characteristic upward reach. As combustion releases energy, it heats the surrounding gases. Hot gas is less dense than cool gas. Its molecules move faster, spreading apart. Buoyancy takes over. The hot gas rises, creating an upward flow. Cooler air rushes in from the sides to replace it, bringing fresh oxygen. This creates a self-sustaining cycle. Burn, heat, rise, replace, burn again. The gentle rise of warm air is visible in the flame's shape, in the way smoke ascends, in the shimmering distortion above a fire. It's convection in action. Gravity, sorting gases by density. In a way, fire climbs on its own exhaust, riding the currents it creates, reaching always upward toward the sky. Without gravity, this wouldn't happen. Flames in space are spherical, unable to create the convection currents that shape earthly fires. The science of combustion. Combustion is a chemical reaction, a rapid oxidation that releases energy. The science of combustion describes how fuel molecules react with oxygen, breaking apart and reforming into new compounds. For wood, the primary fuel is cellulose. When heated, cellulose decomposes into smaller molecules, gases like methane, carbon monoxide, and hydrogen. These gases react with oxygen in the air, forming carbon dioxide and water. The reaction is exothermic, releasing far more energy than it consumes. That energy appears as heat and light. The science of combustion explains why fire needs fuel, oxygen, and heat. The fire triangle. Remove any one element, and combustion stops. It explains why fires spread, why they're hot, why they glow. It's a field of study with practical applications. Engines, furnaces, power plants, all rely on controlled combustion. But at its core, combustion is simply chemistry. Atoms rearranging, bonds breaking and forming, energy flowing from one state to another. The balance between fuel and heat. Fire is a balancing act. The balance between fuel and heat determines whether a fire thrives or dies. Too much fuel without enough heat, and the fire smothers, unable to vaporize and ignite the excess. Too much heat without fuel, and the fire burns intensely but briefly, exhausting its resources. The sweet spot is where fuel availability matches the fire's ability to consume it. This balance is dynamic, constantly adjusting. As a fire heats up, it can process more fuel. As fuel runs low, the fire cools, slowing the reaction. Good fire management, whether in a fireplace, a campfire, or a forge, means maintaining this balance, adding fuel gradually, ensuring airflow, adjusting arrangements to optimize heat distribution. The balance between fuel and heat is the art of firekeeping, a skill humans have refined over millennia. It's the difference between a fire that warms and a fire that disappoints, between sustained glow and sputtering failure. The flame that breathes like a living thing. Watch a fire closely, and you'll see it breathe. The flame that breathes like a living thing pulses with a rhythm that seems almost organic. It's responding to air currents, oxygen availability, fuel vaporization rates. When fresh oxygen reaches the flame, it surges, brightening and growing. When oxygen is momentarily depleted, it dims and contracts. This breathing is visible in campfires, where flames rise and fall in waves. It's audible in the fluctuating roar of a large fire. The flame breathes because combustion is a feedback loop. Burning creates heat. Heat drives convection. Convection brings fresh air. Fresh air intensifies burning. The cycle repeats, creating oscillations, patterns, rhythms. The flame that breathes like a living thing reminds us that fire, though not alive, shares characteristics with life. It consumes resources, responds to environment, grows and shrinks. It exists in that fascinating boundary between inert chemistry and dynamic behavior. The beauty of controlled chaos. Fire is chaos, contained. The beauty of controlled chaos is what makes flames so mesmerizing. At the molecular level, combustion is wildly complex. Millions of reactions per second, turbulent gas flows, unstable structures. Yet from this chaos emerges pattern. Flames reach upward. Colors arrange themselves by temperature. Light flickers in recognizable rhythms. The beauty of controlled chaos is that fire is never the same, twice, yet always familiar. Each flame is unique, shaped by its specific conditions, yet all flames share common features. This balance between unpredictability and pattern is what captivates us. It's complex enough to stay interesting, structured enough to feel comprehensible. The beauty of controlled chaos appears throughout nature, in clouds, in rivers, in the way trees branch. Fire is one of the most accessible examples, a front row seat to nature's improvisation, watching order emerge from randomness in real time. The waves of heat in the air. Above any fire, the air shimmers. The waves of heat in the air are visible distortions caused by temperature gradients. Hot air has a different refractive index than cool air. Light bends differently when passing through it. As hot air rises in turbulent, ever-changing patterns, light passing through gets bent in constantly shifting ways. We perceive this as shimmering, wavering, dancing air. The waves of heat in the air are proof of the invisible. We can't see temperature, but we can see its effects on light. This phenomenon has a name: heat haze or mirage effect. On hot days, it creates illusory puddles on distant roads. Above fires, it creates a living curtain between us and the flame, a reminder that heat is motion, molecules vibrating with energy, creating turbulence that affects everything around them. The waves of heat in the air are temperature made visible, energy expressing itself through light. The patterns in dancing flames. Flames dance, and their dance follows rules. The patterns in dancing flames emerge from fluid dynamics, the physics of gases in motion. As hot gases rise, they create vortices, eddies, turbulent flows. These flows are chaotic in detail, but structured in their larger behavior. Flames often exhibit periodic oscillations, repeating patterns that cycle over seconds. They respond to wind, bending, and flickering. They split and merge, forming temporary structures that dissolve and reform. The patterns in dancing flames have been studied by physicists and mathematicians, who see in fire a laboratory for understanding turbulence, one of the great unsolved problems in physics. But you don't need equations to appreciate the patterns. Just watch. Notice how flames pulse, how they lean, how they reach and curl. The patterns are there, subtle but real, nature's choreography playing out in real time. The colors that reveal temperature. A flame's color is a thermometer. The colors that reveal temperature tell us exactly how hot different parts of the fire are burning. Red and orange indicate cooler regions, typically below 1,000 degrees Celsius. Yellow suggests moderate heat, around 1,200 degrees. White indicates high temperatures, above 1,400 degrees. Blue reveals the hottest zones, where combustion is most complete and temperatures can exceed 1,600 degrees. These colors come from two sources: incandescence, glowing soot particles, heated until they emit light, produces the familiar yellow-orange of wood fires. Chemiluminescence, light emitted by chemical reactions themselves, creates the blue glow where gases burn without soot. The colors that reveal temperature are nature's gradient, a visible spectrum that maps the fire's internal landscape. By reading the colors, you can understand the fire's efficiency, its fuel type, its oxygen supply. Each hue is information, temperature, translated into light, the soot that tells a story. Not everything burns completely. The soot that tells a story is the residue of incomplete combustion. When fuel doesn't receive enough oxygen or heat, some carbon atoms don't fully oxidize. Instead of forming carbon dioxide, they cluster into tiny particles, soot. These particles are what create the yellow glow in many flames. They heat up and emit light through incandescence, like the filament in an old light bulb. Some soot escapes the flame entirely, rising as smoke, eventually settling as the black residue we call creosote or char. The soot that tells a story reveals the fire's efficiency. Clean burning fires produce little soot. Smoky fires produce much. The story soot tells is about oxygen availability, flame temperature, fuel composition. It's evidence of the transformation happening in the fire, the chemistry that's not quite complete, the carbon atoms that escaped before fully reacting. The light of a billion tiny reactions. What we perceive as a single flame is actually billions of individual reactions. The light of a billion tiny reactions combines to create the glow we see. Each fuel molecule that breaks apart and reacts with oxygen releases a tiny amount of energy. Multiply that by billions of molecules per second, and you get the sustained light and heat of a flame. The light of a billion tiny reactions means fire is not a thing, but a process. Not an object, but an event. Each photon of light was emitted by a specific molecule in a specific quantum transition. Each unit of heat came from a specific bond being broken. The flame is the sum of countless individual transformations, happening so rapidly and densely that they merge into what appears to be a continuous, unified phenomenon. Understanding this helps us appreciate the complexity hidden in simplicity, the multitude within the one, the slow burn of a campfire. There's something meditative about a campfire's pace. The slow burn of a campfire unfolds over hours, each log gradually transforming from wood to ember to ash. Unlike a match that flares and dies in seconds, a campfire sustains itself, maintaining a steady rhythm of consumption and heat. The slow burn is possible because of thermal mass. Large pieces of wood take time to heat through. As the outer layers burn, they insulate the inner wood, which slowly heats and eventually combusts. The slow burn of a campfire creates sustained warmth, a dependable source of comfort. It's a human-scale fire, neither too intense nor too fleeting. You can sit beside it, feed it occasionally, watch it evolve. The slow burn mirrors life's better moments, present, sustained, neither frantic nor static. It teaches patience, encourages presence. A campfire doesn't demand attention, but it rewards it. The slow burn is an invitation to slow down yourself. The way flames always reach upward. Fire has a direction. The way flames always reach upward is one of their defining characteristics. On Earth, this happens because of gravity and convection. Hot gases are less dense than cool gases, so they rise. The flame follows its own heat, climbing the column of rising air it creates. This upward reach gives flames their elegant shape, tapered, pointing skyward, stretching toward the heavens. It's purely physical, a consequence of density differences and gravitational fields. Yet it feels symbolic, as if fire yearns, aspires, seeks something above. In zero gravity, flames behave differently. They become spherical, spreading equally in all directions. There's no up in space, so flames have no preferred direction. The way flames always reach upward on Earth is gravity's signature, a reminder that even something as dynamic as fire is shaped by fundamental forces. The upward reach is fire's recognition of the ground beneath it, the energy stored in every log. A log is more than wood. It's stored sunlight, captured energy, potential waiting to be released. The energy stored in every log comes from years of photosynthesis. The tree absorbs sunlight, using that energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose. Glucose linked into cellulose, building the tree's structure. All that captured solar energy remained locked in chemical bonds. When you burn the log, you're reversing the process. Combustion breaks those bonds, releasing the energy as heat and light. In a way, every fire is sunlight delayed, solar energy on a time release. The energy stored in every log represents years, decades, or centuries for old trees of patiently collecting and converting light. When fire releases it, that energy returns to the world, warming space, illuminating darkness. The log is a battery, and fire is the discharge. Ancient sunlight, set free again. The ancient power of heat. Heat shaped human evolution. The ancient power of heat transformed our species. Before fire, early humans were limited, unable to stay warm in cold climates, unable to digest certain foods efficiently, unable to keep predators at bay at night. Fire changed everything. Heat extended our range, allowing migration into colder regions. Heat made food more digestible, extracting more nutrients, supporting larger brains. Heat provided light after sunset, extending productive hours. Heat hardened wood for tools, shaped ceramics, eventually smelted metals. The ancient power of heat was foundational. It didn't just improve human life, it enabled civilization. Every technological advance, from pottery to metallurgy to steam engines to electricity, traces back to understanding and controlling heat. The ancient power of heat is still with us, still fundamental. We've refined our methods, furnaces instead of campfires, but the principle remains. Controlled heat transforms materials, releases energy, enables creation. The comfort of fire in the cold. There's a primal satisfaction in warming yourself by a fire when it's cold outside. The comfort of fire in the cold is both physical and psychological. Physically, fire radiates infrared energy that warms skin directly. You feel it immediately. A direct transfer of heat energy from flame to body. The warmth penetrates, easing cold stiffened muscles, encouraging circulation. Psychologically, fire represents security. It transforms hostile cold into bearable warmth, creates a bubble of livable space in harsh conditions. The comfort of fire in the cold has been central to human experience for hundreds of thousands of years. Our ancestors survived brutal ice ages thanks to fire. We're wired to find comfort in its glow. Even today, with central heating available, people still light fires on cold evenings. The comfort of fire in the cold transcends practical need. It's tradition, connection, ritual. It's the pleasure of sitting before a flame, feeling warmth on your face, knowing you're safe and warm. The hearth as the heart of the home. For most of human history, the hearth was central, literally and figuratively. The hearth, as the heart of the home, provided heat, cooked food, and served as a gathering place. Families arranged their lives around it. Stories were told there, meals prepared, decisions made. The hearth was where people came together, drawn by warmth and light. Even the word hearth shares roots with heart. It's not coincidental. The fire was the home's vital center, its source of life and energy. As homes evolved, the hearth remained central. The fireplace in the living room, the kitchen with its stove. Even now, when many homes have no functional fireplace, the idea persists. Living rooms are still arranged as if there's a hearth to gather around. The hearth, as the heart of the home, reflects a deep truth. Fire creates community. Its warmth and light draw people together, creating space for connection, conversation, shared experience. The warmth that shapes civilization. Civilization as we know it wouldn't exist without controlled fire. The warmth that shapes civilization enabled humans to thrive in diverse climates, extract more nutrition from food, and develop technologies that built our modern world. Fire allowed early humans to migrate out of Africa into colder regions. It made cooking possible, which transformed our diet and biology. It enabled pottery, metallurgy, glass-making foundation technologies for complex societies. The warmth that shapes civilization continues today. Every power plant is fundamentally a controlled fire. Every engine burns fuel. Every manufactured item was likely shaped by heat at some stage. Civilization is built on our ability to create, control, and harness heat. The warmth that shapes civilization is both literal and metaphorical. Fire warms bodies and drives economies. It comforts individuals and powers industries. From the first campfire to the most advanced furnace, warmth has been the energy source that lifted humanity from survival to sophistication. the first humans to hold the flame. Imagine the moment. The first humans to hold the flame didn't create it. They captured it. Lightning struck. A wildfire burned. And somehow, someone had the audacity to approach, to take a burning branch, to carry fire away. That moment, whenever it happened, changed everything. The first humans to hold the flame possessed something no other animal had. They controlled energy, commanded light and heat. They could choose when and where fire existed. This wasn't just a technological leap. It was cognitive. It required understanding that fire could be maintained, fed, transported. It required planning, foresight, cooperation. The first humans to hold the flame became different from their ancestors. They had power over darkness, over cold, over predators, eventually over matter itself. That first flame, carried from wildfire to camp, was the seed of all civilization. Everything since, every tool, every technology, every advancement, traces back to that moment when someone held fire and refused to let it die. The discovery that changed everything. Controlling fire is considered one of humanity's most important discoveries. The discovery that changed everything wasn't instantaneous. It likely happened gradually, first capturing fire from natural sources, then learning to maintain it, eventually learning to create it on demand. Each step was revolutionary. Maintaining fire required understanding what it needed: fuel, oxygen, the right conditions. It required social organization, someone to tend the fire, gather wood, keep it alive. Creating fire through friction, percussion, or chemistry required experimentation, patience, countless failures. The discovery that changed everything transformed humans from animals who occasionally benefited from fire to beings who commanded it. This mastery brought immediate advantages: warmth, protection, cooked food, but it also enabled everything that followed: agriculture, because cleared land could be farmed; metallurgy, because fire could be made hot enough to smelt ore; industry, because heat could shape materials. The discovery that changed everything was really thousands of discoveries, each building on the last, each expanding what fire could do. The protection fire once gave. Before fire, night was dangerous. The protection fire once gave was literal and life-saving. Predators fear fire. Most animals won't approach a flame. It's an instinctual avoidance of danger. Early humans used this. By maintaining fires at night, they created safe spaces where predators wouldn't venture. Fire provided a perimeter, a barrier of light and heat that kept the darkness and its dangers at bay. The protection fire once gave extended beyond predators. Fire sanitized food, killing parasites and bacteria that would have caused illness. Smoke from fires helped repel insects, reducing disease transmission. Heat helped dry living spaces, preventing mold and rot. Fire was medicine before medicine existed. The protection fire once gave shaped human evolution. Populations with fire survived better, reproduced more successfully. The ability to maintain fire became a crucial survival skill, selecting for the cognitive abilities needed to manage it. The protection was so fundamental that we barely remember it now, living in well-lit, climate-controlled spaces. But fire's protection built the foundation for everything we have today: the power to cook and create. Fire gave humans the power to cook and create, transforming raw materials into something new. Cooking is alchemy. Heat changes the chemical structure of food, making it easier to digest, unlocking nutrients, killing pathogens. Cooked food allowed humans to extract more energy from less food, supporting larger brains and longer lifespans. But cooking was just the beginning. Heat could transform clay into pottery, storing food and water. Heat could soften wood, making it easier to shape into tools. Heat could extract metals from ore, creating bronze, iron, steel. Each transformation expanded human capabilities. The power to cook and create is the power to change the world. to take raw materials and reshape them according to human will. Fire is the tool that makes other tools possible. Every ceramic, every metal object, every glass window traces back to fire's transformative power. The power to cook and create made humans builders, shapers, architects of our own reality. Fire didn't just warm us, it empowered us. The symbol of life and renewal. Fire appears in every culture's symbolism and mythology. The symbol of life and renewal reflects fire's dual nature, destroyer and creator. Fire consumes, reduces matter to ash, appears to destroy, yet from destruction comes possibility. Burned land becomes fertile. Forest fires trigger seed germination. Old growth gives way to new. The symbol of life and renewal captures this cycle. The phoenix, burning and reborn from its ashes. The eternal flame, never extinguished, representing ongoing life. The hearth fire, center of home and family. Fire in myths often represents transformation, purification, renewal. It burns away impurity, leaving essence. It destroys the old, making space for the new. The symbol of life and renewal is deeply appropriate because fire embodies change, its energy in transition, matter transforming. It doesn't preserve, it transforms. And transformation, though it may look like destruction, is the engine of renewal. Without fire, both literal and metaphorical, nothing would change. Fire is the universe's way of saying nothing stays the same. The flame as a sacred element. In many traditions, fire is sacred. The flame as a sacred element represents divinity, purity, transformation. Ancient peoples saw in fire something beyond the physical, a connection to gods, spirits, the divine. Fire ceremonies exist across cultures. Sacrifices were burned to send offerings skyward. Funeral pyres released souls from bodies. Eternal flames honored gods and ancestors. The flame as a sacred element makes sense. Fire transforms matter into light and heat, solid into invisible. It seems to release something essential, the energy that was hidden in material form. Fire reaches upward toward the heavens. It illuminates darkness like divine knowledge. It purifies, burning away impurity. The flame as a sacred element reflects fire's unique position among natural phenomena. Water, earth, and air are present, tangible, persistent. Fire is event, process, transformation. It exists only in the act of change. This makes it special, liminal, a bridge between states. The flame as a sacred element acknowledges fire's power to transform not just matter but meaning. The fire of myth and legend. Fire appears in countless myths and legends. The fire of myth and legend often involves theft, gift, or sacrifice. Prometheus stole fire from the gods to give to humans, suffering eternal punishment for his transgression. In many Native American traditions, coyote or raven stole fire and brought it to the people. These stories reflect fire's importance. It's so valuable that obtaining it requires heroism, sacrifice, divine intervention. The fire of myth and legend also appears as test and trial. Heroes must pass through flames, proving their worth. Enemies are consumed by fire, showing justice or divine wrath. Dragons breathe fire, embodying power and danger. The fire of myth and legend serves many narrative purposes. It illuminates, purifies, destroys, transforms. It's a force that demands respect, a power that shapes destiny. These stories, told and retold across millennia, reveal how deeply fire has shaped human imagination. We see in fire more than chemistry. We see power, transformation, divinity, danger, all the forces that shape human existence. The eternal flames of ancient temples. Some fires burned for centuries. The eternal flames of ancient temples were maintained continuously, never allowed to die. The Temple of Vesta in Rome kept a sacred flame for over 1,000 years, tended by virgin priestesses. Zoroastrian fire temples maintain flames that have burned for centuries, some supposedly for millennia. These eternal flames represent continuity, connection to the divine, the persistence of sacred duty. The eternal flames of ancient temples required dedication. Someone had to feed them, protect them, ensure they never went out. The flames became symbols of civilization's persistence, of religious devotion, of the link between past and present. Some eternal flames still burn today. The Olympic flame, relit every 4 years, but maintaining its symbolic continuity. War memorials with eternal flames, honoring fallen soldiers. The eternal flames of ancient temples remind us that fire, though constantly consuming, can be sustained indefinitely if properly tended. They represent the human desire for permanence in a world of change, for continuity in the face of mortality. The eternal flame says, "This light will not go out. This connection will not be broken. This memory will not fade." The light used to guide the lost. Before electric lights, fire was the beacon that guided travelers. The light used to guide the lost appeared in lighthouses, watchtowers, signal fires on hilltops, a flame visible for miles, a point of orientation in darkness. Sailors navigated by lighthouse fires, their beams cutting through fog and night. Travelers found their way to villages by the glow of hearth fires. Armies communicated across distances with signal fires, each flame a word in a visual language. The light used to guide the lost was practical navigation, but it was also symbolic hope. In darkness, a distant flame meant civilization, safety, human presence. It meant you weren't alone. The light used to guide the lost appears in stories and metaphors. The light at the end of the tunnel, the candle in the window, the beacon of hope. Fire's ability to pierce darkness made it the natural symbol for guidance, for finding your way, for hope in difficult times. Even now, when we're surrounded by artificial light, the image persists. Fire still represents the light that shows the way home. The fire that connects all cultures. Every human culture has a relationship with fire. The fire that connects all cultures is one of the few truly universal human experiences. From the Arctic to the tropics, from ancient times to the present, humans have used fire. The specifics vary. Different fuels, different purposes, different rituals, but the fundamental presence is constant. The fire that connects all cultures reveals something essential about being human. We're the species that controls fire. No other animal does this. Other traits we're proud of, language, tools, art, appear in rudimentary forms in other species. But fire is uniquely human. The fire that connects all cultures is a shared heritage, a common ancestor in every lineage. When you light a fire, you're participating in a practice that stretches back hundreds of thousands of years across every continent humans have inhabited. You're connecting with your ancestors, with distant cultures you'll never know. The fire that connects all cultures is a thread of continuity through human history. The ritual of lighting a candle. There's something meditative about lighting a candle. The ritual of lighting a candle has accumulated meaning across centuries. Strike the match. Watch the flame catch. Touch it to the wick. Wait for the wick to ignite. Watch the flame steady and grow. Each step is deliberate, mindful. The ritual of lighting a candle marks moments. We light candles for birthdays, commemorating years, for remembrance, honoring the dead, for prayer, focusing intention, for romance, creating atmosphere, for power outages, providing light. Each lighting is a small ceremony, a pause in the flow of time. The ritual of lighting a candle connects us to earlier humans who performed the same action, lighting oil lamps, torches, hearth fires. The technology has changed, but the gesture remains. Flame still requires the same elements, the same care. The ritual of lighting a candle is a moment of presence, of creating something light, warmth, atmosphere, from nothing but wax and a spark. The symbolism of light in darkness. Fire represents more than illumination. The symbolism of light in darkness carries deep psychological and spiritual weight. Light is knowledge, awareness, consciousness. Darkness is ignorance, confusion, death. Fire, as humanity's first controlled light source, became the symbol for enlightenment, understanding, hope. The symbolism of light in darkness appears everywhere. In religion, where God is light and ignorance is darkness. In language, where we shed light on problems, have bright ideas, face dark times. In philosophy, where enlightenment names the pursuit of knowledge. This symbolism is rooted in experience. Before fire, humans were truly helpless in darkness. We're visual animals. Without light, we're blind, vulnerable, lost. Fire changed that. It pushed back the darkness, literally and metaphorically. The symbolism of light in darkness reflects this transformation. Fire represents the power to see, to understand, to overcome the unknown. Even in our electrically lit world, the symbolism persists. We still speak of light and darkness, still use fire as a metaphor for hope, clarity, and knowledge. The fire that cleanses and renews. Fire destroys, but destruction isn't always negative. The fire that cleanses and renews appears in both physical and symbolic contexts. Physically, fire sterilizes. High heat kills bacteria, viruses, parasites. Ancient peoples knew this instinctively, using fire to purify water, tools, living spaces. Fire consumes disease, leaves behind clean ash. Symbolically, fire represents purification of the soul or spirit, burning away sins, impurities, old patterns. Many traditions use fire in cleansing rituals, passing through flames, burning representations of what's being released, lighting fires to mark new beginnings. The fire that cleanses and renews reflects fire's transformative nature. It doesn't just destroy, it transforms. What remains after fire is different, often simpler, reduced to essentials. Ash fertilizes soil, making it more productive than before. Burned forests regrow with renewed vigor. The fire that cleanses and renews teaches that sometimes to grow we must first let go. That transformation requires releasing what was, making space for what will be. The role of fire in nature's balance. Fire isn't just a human tool. The role of fire in nature's balance has shaped ecosystems for millions of years. Many ecosystems are fire adapted, even fire dependent. Prairies, savannas, certain forests. These landscapes evolved with regular fires. The role of fire in nature's balance involves clearing underbrush, releasing nutrients, triggering seed germination, resetting succession. Without fire, some ecosystems become overgrown, accumulating fuel, eventually burning catastrophically. Regular, smaller fires prevent this buildup, maintaining a healthier balance. Some plants require fire to reproduce. Their seeds won't germinate until exposed to heat or smoke. Some trees have thick bark specifically to survive fire. The role of fire in nature's balance is complex. Fire can be destructive, yes, but it's also creative, necessary, part of the natural cycle. Modern fire suppression has sometimes done more harm than good, creating conditions for megafires. Understanding fire's role means accepting that some destruction is natural, healthy, even necessary for long-term ecosystem vitality. The wildfires that give birth to forests. Wildfires seem catastrophic, but many forests depend on them. The wildfires that give birth to forests reset the ecosystem, clearing old growth, releasing nutrients locked in dead wood, opening the canopy so sunlight reaches the ground. Seeds germinate in the ash-enriched soil. Young trees grow rapidly in the newly available space and light. The wildfires that give birth to forests are natural events, part of the forest's life cycle. Some forests are designed for fire. Giant sequoias, for instance, have thick bark that protects them from flames. Their cones open only when heated, releasing seeds into the freshly burned, nutrient-rich soil. Without fire, sequoia forests decline, crowded by fire-intolerant species. The wildfires that give birth to forests challenge our instincts. We see destruction and assume it's bad, but nature operates on longer timescales. What looks like devastation today may be renewal tomorrow. The wildfires that give birth to forests teach us that creation and destruction are intertwined, that sometimes the path to new life runs through fire. The seeds that need heat to grow. Some seeds are wrapped in hard coats that won't break down without heat. The seeds that need heat to grow are fire-adapted, evolved to germinate specifically after fires. Jack pine and lodgepole pine cones are serratinous, sealed with resin that melts only in fire's heat, releasing seeds into the burned landscape. Certain wildflowers have similar adaptations, their seeds remaining dormant until triggered by smoke chemicals or heat. The seeds that need heat to grow have evolved a strategy: wait for fire, then grow in its aftermath. When conditions are optimal, burned soil is nutrient-rich, competition is reduced, and sunlight is abundant. The seeds that need heat to grow reveal fire's creative side. These plants don't just survive fire, they require it. Without occasional burns, their populations decline. The seeds that need heat to grow are proof that fire isn't just destruction. It's opportunity, renewal, the opening of doors that remain closed otherwise. These seeds have been waiting, sometimes for years, for the moment when heat signals now. Now is the time to grow. The lightning that sparks new life. Before humans controlled fire, nature provided it. The lightning that sparks new life strikes somewhere on Earth, about 100 times per second. Most strikes hit ground harmlessly, but occasionally they ignite fires in forests, grasslands, wherever fuel is dry enough. The lightning that sparks new life has been starting fires for as long as terrestrial plants have existed. Early plants weren't fire adapted, but over millions of years, as fires became regular events, evolution responded. Plants developed resistance, seeds developed heat requirements, ecosystems incorporated fire into their cycles. The lightning that sparks new life is random but regular. Individual strikes are unpredictable, but over time and space, fires occur with statistical reliability. This created selection pressure, shaping species, ecosystems, entire biomes. The lightning that sparks new life reminds us that fire existed long before humans. We learned to control it, but we didn't invent it. Fire is ancient, natural, woven into Earth's story as deeply as rain or wind. The flames that reset the ecosystem. Ecosystems age, accumulating dead material, becoming overgrown, losing diversity. The flames that reset the ecosystem clear this accumulation, returning nutrients to the soil, opening space for new growth. In grasslands, fire removes dead grass, stimulating fresh shoots that provide better grazing. In forests, fire clears underbrush, reducing competition for established trees. The flames that reset the ecosystem don't destroy, they reboot. They interrupt succession, preventing any one species from dominating completely, maintaining diversity. Many species benefit from fire's reset. Woodpeckers thrive in burned forests, where insects colonize dead wood. Grazers benefit from the flush of new growth after grassland fires. Certain plants bloom prolifically after burns. The flames that reset the ecosystem are like hitting refresh, clearing the old, making space for the new. Without periodic resets, ecosystems can become stagnant, less productive, more vulnerable to catastrophic change. The flames that reset the ecosystem are nature's way of maintaining dynamism, ensuring that nothing stays static for too long. The animals that depend on fire's cycle. Many animals have adapted to fire-prone landscapes. The animals that depend on fire's cycle include birds that nest in burned trees, insects that feed on fire-stressed plants, and grazers that thrive on post-fire vegetation. Some birds, like the black-backed woodpecker, specialize in recently burned forests where beetle populations explode. Deer and elk are attracted to the nutritious new growth that appears after fires. Even some beetles are attracted to smoke, arriving at fires to lay eggs in freshly killed trees. The animals that depend on fire's cycle have evolved strategies to take advantage of post-fire conditions. They've incorporated fire into their life cycles, timing reproduction or migration to coincide with burns. The animals that depend on fire's cycle show that fire isn't universally destructive. For some species, it's essential. Fire creates habitat, food sources, and opportunities that wouldn't exist otherwise. The animals that depend on fire's cycle are part of fire-adapted ecosystems, players in a drama that's been unfolding for millions of years. The renewal after the burn. Visit a burned landscape a year later, and you'll see something remarkable. The renewal after the burn transforms blackened devastation into vibrant life. Grasses sprout through ash. Wildflowers bloom in profusion. Young trees begin their climb skyward. The renewal after the burn is often faster and more dramatic than growth in unburned areas. The soil is enriched with nutrients from ash. Competition is reduced. Sunlight, previously blocked by canopy, now reaches the ground. Seeds that lay dormant for years suddenly germinate. The renewal after the burn shows nature's resilience. Given time, burned areas don't just recover. They often become more diverse, more productive than before. The renewal after the burn is hope made visible. It's proof that destruction isn't permanent. It's that life persists, that given the chance, nature regenerates. The renewal after the burn happens on its own schedule, following patterns refined over millions of years. We don't have to fix it. We just have to wait and watch as life returns. The green that follows the ash. Ash is remarkably fertile. The green that follows the ash grows vigorously, nourished by nutrients released from burned organic matter. Fire breaks down complex molecules, releasing phosphorus, potassium, and other minerals that plants need. These nutrients, previously locked in wood and leaves, become available in ash. The green that follows the ash often appears within days of rain after a fire. Grasses sprout, ferns unfurl, seeds germinate by the thousands. The contrast is striking. Black ash giving rise to brilliant green. The green that follows the ash is nature's alchemy, death becoming life, destruction becoming creation. It's a visual metaphor for transformation, for the cycle that sustains ecosystems. The green that follows the ash grows until it accumulates into new forests, new grasslands, new accumulations of organic matter. Eventually, fire will come again, completing the cycle. The green that follows the ash is a phase, not an endpoint. It's part of an endless rhythm: growth, accumulation, fire, ash, growth. The chemistry of wood, turning to smoke. Wood is complex organic matter, and burning it releases that complexity. The chemistry of wood, turning to smoke, involves hundreds of compounds being released as gases. When wood heats, it undergoes pyrolysis, thermal decomposition, without oxygen. The wood breaks down into gases, liquids, and solid char. The gases include water vapor, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, methane, and countless other organic compounds. Some of these gases burn immediately, contributing to the flame. Others escape as smoke, tiny particles of unburned carbon and terry compounds suspended in the air. The chemistry of wood turning to smoke determines the smoke's properties. Hardwoods produce different smoke than softwoods. Dry wood produces less smoke than wet wood. Complete combustion produces clear exhaust, mostly carbon dioxide and water vapor. Incomplete combustion produces visible smoke. The chemistry of wood turning to smoke is the chemistry of transformation, complex molecules breaking apart, atoms rearranging, solid becoming gas, matter becoming energy. The sweet scent of burning pine. Each wood has its own smoke signature. The sweet scent of burning pine is distinctive, resinous, sharp, slightly sweet. It comes from the volatile organic compounds in pine wood, particularly the terpenes in its resin. When heated, these compounds vaporize, carrying their scent into the air. The sweet scent of burning pine is nostalgia for many people, associated with campfires, winter hearths, holidays. Scent is powerfully linked to memory, and wood smoke often triggers emotional responses. The sweet scent of burning pine is different from oak's earthy aroma, different from cedar's spicy smell, different from birch's delicate fragrance. Each species carries its own chemical signature, a unique blend of compounds that defines its smoke. The sweet scent of burning pine is chemistry perceived as experience, molecules interacting with scent receptors, triggering neural responses that we interpret as pleasant, familiar, comforting. It's the smell of warmth, of home, of fire's ancient comfort, the aromas that calm the mind. Smoke carries more than scent. It carries associations. The aromas that calm the mind work partly through chemistry and partly through memory. Certain wood smoke compounds may have mild physiological effects, but mostly, smoke calms because of what it represents: safety, warmth, comfort, home. The aromas that calm the mind trigger memories of positive fire experiences, camping trips, cozy evenings, holiday gatherings. Our brains link the scent to those feelings, recreating them when the scent returns. This is why incense and smudging rituals exist in many cultures. Smoke is a tool for altering consciousness, for creating contemplative states. The aromas that calm the mind show how deeply fire is woven into human psychology. We don't just use fire. We respond to it emotionally, find comfort in its presence, its warmth, its smell. The aromas that calm the mind are more than pleasant scents. They're connections to our past, both personal and ancestral, links to the millions of fires that warmed and protected our ancestors. The flow of smoke through still air. Watch smoke rise from a candle in a still room. The flow of smoke through still air is mesmerizing. Thin tendrils spiraling upward, spreading and dispersing, following invisible currents. Smoke is a tracer, making air movement visible. The flow of smoke through still air shows us laminar flow, giving way to turbulence, smooth streams, breaking into chaotic eddies. The smoke rises because it's warm, less dense than the surrounding air. As it rises, it cools, eventually reaching the same density as its surroundings and dispersing. The flow of smoke through still air is a physics demonstration, showing convection, diffusion, turbulence. It's also beautiful, hypnotic, calming, endlessly variable. No two smoke patterns are identical. The flow of smoke through still air invites contemplation, slows the mind, provides a focus for meditation. Watch smoke long enough, and thoughts quiet. The flow of smoke through still air is nature's lava lamp, organic complexity emerging from simple physics. The sparks that drift like stars. When dry wood burns, it sometimes sends up sparks. The sparks that drift like stars are tiny pieces of burning material, wood fibers, bark fragments, light enough to be carried by the rising hot air. They glow as they rise, tiny points of light floating upward, gradually cooling and fading. The sparks that drift like stars are beautiful, especially against a dark sky. They mirror the stars above, creating a momentary illusion of connection between Earth and cosmos. The sparks that drift like stars are ephemeral, lasting only seconds before cooling to ash. They're harmless individually, but represent fire's potential to spread. A single spark landing in dry fuel can start a new fire. The sparks that drift like stars are both wonder and warning. They're beautiful to watch, but remind us that fire must be respected. contained, managed. The sparks that drift like stars are fire's seeds, tiny ambassadors of flame floating on the air, each one carrying the potential for transformation. The colors of ember and coal. As a fire burns down, it enters a new phase. The colors of ember and coal glow in shades of red, orange, and occasionally blue. Embers are wood that's burned past flaming combustion. Charcoal, essentially, still hot enough to glow. The colors of ember and coal reflect temperature. Deep red indicates cooler temperatures. Bright orange means hotter. When you blow on embers, adding oxygen, they brighten visibly, the increased combustion raising temperature. The colors of ember and coal are incandescence, solid matter heated until it emits light. The same principle as an incandescent light bulb, but in this case, the glowing material is carbon. The colors of ember and coal have a depth that flames lack. Flames are transparent, ethereal. Embers are solid, substantial, radiating warmth more than light. The colors of ember and coal are the fire's old age, the final phase before ash. They glow with accumulated heat, releasing energy slowly, warmth without flame, light without brightness. The slow cooling of ashes. Even after flames die, heat persists. The slow cooling of ashes takes hours, sometimes days. Hot embers buried in ash stay warm remarkably long, insulated by the ash itself. The slow cooling of ashes has practical implications. Never assume a dead fire is cold. Embers can smolder for hours, potentially reigniting if conditions change. The slow cooling of ashes is thermal inertia, the resistance of matter to temperature change. Ash is a poor conductor, so heat transfers slowly. The slow cooling of ashes mirrors the patient pace of nature. Fire is dramatic, but its aftermath is gradual. The transition from hot to cold, from ember to ash, happens slowly, imperceptibly. The slow cooling of ashes can be meditative to witness, checking a dead fire hours later and feeling residual warmth, knowing the energy hasn't entirely dissipated yet. The slow cooling of ashes is fire's long goodbye, the final release of accumulated heat, the last whisper of what was once a flame. The quiet beauty of a dying flame. There's something poignant about a fire's end. The quiet beauty of a dying flame is in its diminishment, its slow fade from vigor to memory. As fuel depletes, the flame shrinks, flickers more irregularly, changes color. The quiet beauty of a dying flame is partly aesthetic, the play of final light, the glow of embers, but also emotional. Endings have their own beauty, tinged with melancholy. The quiet beauty of a dying flame reminds us that all things pass, that energy disperses, that nothing burns forever. But there's comfort in this too. The fire fulfilled its purpose. It provided warmth, light, atmosphere. Now it's ending naturally, returning to ash, releasing its final heat. The quiet beauty of a dying flame teaches acceptance. All fires die. All flames fade. This isn't tragedy, it's completion. The quiet beauty of a dying flame is the beauty of a well-lived cycle, beginning to end, fuel consumed, energy released, transformation complete. The reflection of fire on water. Fire and water seem opposite, yet together, they create magic. The reflection of fire on water doubles the flame's beauty, creating shimmering images that dance on the liquid surface. The reflection of fire on water works because water is reflective and fire is bright. The flickering flame creates an ever-changing pattern of light that water mirrors and distorts. Waves or ripples fragment the reflection, creating multiple dancing images. The reflection of fire on water appears in campfires near lakes, candles beside pools, torches along waterways. It's romantic, atmospheric, deeply calming. The reflection of fire on water combines two primal elements, each enhancing the other. Water's movement animates fire's reflection. Fire's light reveals water's motion. The reflection of fire on water is a natural artwork requiring no human intervention beyond placing flame near water. It's been admired for millennia, appearing in poetry, painting, memory. The reflection of fire on water is beauty compounded, light meeting light, flame and fluid in conversation. The light that dances on the walls. In a darkened room, a fire creates moving shadows and light. The light that dances on the walls transforms static space into dynamic theater. Shadows grow and shrink. Brightness shifts. The room seems alive, animated by the flames flickering. The light that dances on the walls is indirect illumination, not the fire itself, but its reflection and shadows. It's softer than direct firelight, more atmospheric. The light that dances on the walls creates mood, ambiance, a sense of enclosure and comfort. Humans have experienced this for hundreds of thousands of years, sitting in caves, huts, homes, watching firelight play across surfaces. The light that dances on the walls is entertainment without screens, art without artists, a show that never repeats. Each moment is unique, each flicker creating a new pattern. The light that dances on the walls invites imagination. In shifting shadows, we see shapes, faces, stories. The light that dances on the walls is fire's theater, free and eternal, the glow that draws us closer. Fire has gravity, not literally, but psychologically. The glow that draws us closer is a phenomenon anyone who's been near a fire recognizes. People unconsciously move toward flames, forming circles, orienting themselves toward the heat and light. The glow that draws us closer is partly practical. Fire provides warmth, and we naturally seek comfort, but it's also social and psychological. Fires create focal points. They give us something to watch, something to gather around. The glow that draws us closer reflects our evolutionary history. For our ancestors, fire meant safety, warmth, community. We're wired to be drawn to it, to find comfort in its presence. The glow that draws us closer creates intimacy. Around a fire, people relax, open up, share stories. The fire becomes a mediator, a third presence that eases social awkwardness. The glow that draws us closer is an invitation, a warm welcome, a silent call to come, sit, be part of the circle gathered in the light. The campfires of human connection. Some of humanity's best moments happen around fires. The campfires of human connection are where stories are told, songs are sung, friendships are deepened. There's something about fire that encourages openness, vulnerability, sharing. Maybe it's the darkness surrounding the light, creating a sense of intimacy. Maybe it's the fire's hypnotic quality, relaxing defenses. Maybe it's tradition, the weight of countless generations who gathered this way. The campfires of human connection are spaces outside normal time, where usual social rules soften. Around a fire, strangers become friends, acquaintances become confidants. The campfires of human connection are democratic. Everyone has equal access to the warmth, the light. The fire doesn't judge, doesn't exclude. It simply burns, offering itself to whoever gathers. The campfires of human connection carry forward an ancient tradition, the same gathering that's happened since fire was first controlled, the same circle our ancestors formed, the same light that has always brought people together. The stories shared beside the flame. Fire and stories are old companions. The stories shared beside the flame have a special quality, intimate, memorable, meaningful. Perhaps it's because fire creates the right atmosphere, dark enough to focus attention, light enough to see faces, warm enough to be comfortable. Perhaps it's because fire slows time, creating space for narrative. The stories shared beside the flame are often personal, passed down through generations, told and retold. Myths, legends, family histories, personal experiences. The fire preserves these stories, not by recording them, but by creating the conditions where they're shared, heard, remembered. The stories shared beside the flame become part of the experience, inseparable from the fire itself. Years later, you remember not just the story, but where you were, who you were with, the fire that warmed you as you listened. The stories shared beside the flame are humanity's oldest entertainment, predating writing, predating civilization, as ancient as fire itself. The silence between the crackles. Not all of fire's appeal is in its sound and light. The silence between the crackles is equally important. These quiet moments, when the fire burns steady and calm, create space for thought, for presence, for simply being. The silence between the crackles isn't empty. It's full of potential, anticipation, peace. You sit, you wait, you watch, and then crack. The fire speaks again. The silence between the crackles is where contemplation happens. Without it, fire would be overwhelming, constant stimulation. With it, fire becomes meditative, a rhythm of activity and rest that mirrors natural patterns. The silence between the crackles allows thoughts to settle, allows conversation to breathe. It's in these quiet moments that insights come, that connections deepen, that the mind unwinds. The silence between the crackles is as much a part of the fire experience as the flame itself, the spaces between notes that make the music meaningful. The stars that burn in the same way. Look up from your campfire at the night sky. The stars that burn in the same way are not just metaphorical, they're literal. Stars are massive, sustained fusion reactions, converting hydrogen into helium, releasing energy as light and heat. The same fundamental process that drives your campfire, matter transforming, energy being released, drives every star in the universe. The stars that burn in the same way are fire on a cosmic scale, where your fire burns carbon and oxygen. Stars burn hydrogen into helium through nuclear fusion. The physics is different, but the principle is the same. Matter rearranges, and energy is released. The stars that burn in the same way connect the small to the immense, the personal to the universal. When you sit by a fire, you're participating in the same process that powers suns. You're connected to the cosmos through chemistry and physics, through the same fundamental laws that govern all transformation. The stars that burn in the same way remind us that fire isn't just earthly, it's universal. The fire at the heart of the sun. Our sun is a giant fusion reactor. The fire at the heart of the sun burns not through chemical reactions, but through nuclear fusion. In the sun's core, temperatures reach 15 million degrees. Pressure is enormous, and hydrogen nuclei fuse into helium. The fire at the heart of the sun has been burning for 4.6 billion years and will continue for another 5 billion. It's the same fire that warms Earth, drives weather, enables photosynthesis, powers nearly all life. The fire at the heart of the sun is sustained not by fuel being added, but by its own mass. Gravity compressing the core, maintaining the conditions for fusion. The fire at the heart of the sun is remarkably stable, unlike earthly fires that flicker and vary. It burns steady, releasing a nearly constant stream of energy. The fire at the heart of the sun is our ultimate source of warmth, the primary fire that makes all life possible. When you feel sunshine on your skin, you're feeling that solar fire, energy that traveled 93 million miles to reach you. The nuclear flame that powers the stars. Every star in the night sky is a fusion reactor. The nuclear flame that powers the stars converts mass directly into energy. Following Einstein's equation, E equal mq. In stars, this happens when hydrogen nuclei overcome electromagnetic repulsion and fuse, forming helium and releasing energy. The nuclear flame that powers the stars is different from chemical fire. Chemical reactions rearrange electrons, but leave nuclei intact. Nuclear reactions change the nuclei themselves, converting one element into another. This releases vastly more energy, millions of times more per atom than chemical reactions. the nuclear flame that powers the stars, is what makes stars shine. Without fusion, stars would be cold, dark, inert. The nuclear flame that powers the stars has been burning for billions of years, creating the light we see when we look at the night sky. Each star is a fire, nuclear rather than chemical, but fire nonetheless. Transformation, energy release, light emerging from matter. The hydrogen that burns in space. Hydrogen is the universe's simplest and most abundant element. The hydrogen that burns in space fuels every star, makes up most of the sun, dominates the cosmos. When we say hydrogen burns in space, we mean it fuses, nuclei combining under extreme temperature and pressure. The hydrogen that burns in space is the original fuel, present since the Big Bang. Early stars burned only hydrogen. Later generations also burn helium and heavier elements, but hydrogen remains primary. The hydrogen that burns in space connects all stars, all ages of the universe. It's the fuel that powered the first stars, that powers the sun today, that will power stars trillions of years in the future. The hydrogen that burns in space is also what makes water, what fills gas clouds, what combines into complex molecules. It's the most fundamental element, the basis of cosmic chemistry, the fuel of stellar fire. The hydrogen that burns in space is the universe's primary resource, transforming through fusion into everything else. The fire that shapes the universe. Fire, in its various forms, has shaped cosmic history. The fire that shapes the universe began with the Big Bang itself, an explosion of energy that created all matter. Stars formed, and fusion began, creating heavier elements. Supernovae exploded, scattering those elements through space. New stars formed from the enriched gas. Planets condensed. Life emerged. The fire that shapes the universe continues today. Stars are born, burn, die. Galaxies collide, triggering massive bursts of star formation. Black holes accrete matter, releasing enormous energy. The fire that shapes the universe is the engine of change, the process that transforms simple hydrogen into the complex chemistry needed for life. Without stellar fire, there would be no carbon, oxygen, iron, no atoms heavier than lithium. The fire that shapes the universe has been burning for 13.8 billion years, creating complexity, structure, the possibility of life. We exist because of cosmic fire, built from atoms forged in stellar furnaces. The cosmic furnace of creation. Stars are furnaces, but they're more than that. The cosmic furnace of creation produces every element heavier than hydrogen and helium. In stellar cores, fusion creates carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. In dying massive stars, fusion extends to silicon, sulfur, iron. In supernovae, the explosion creates even heavier elements: gold, uranium, lead. The cosmic furnace of creation takes simple ingredients and produces complexity. Every atom in your body, except hydrogen, was created in stars. The carbon in your cells, the oxygen you breathe, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, all forged in the cosmic furnace of creation. The cosmic furnace of creation is ongoing. Right now, in stars across the universe, fusion is creating new atoms, building up the periodic table, enriching the cosmos with heavy elements. The cosmic furnace of creation links us directly to stars, makes us quite literally children of the cosmos, assembled from stardust. The supernova as the universe's bonfire. Some stars die quietly, fading away over billions of years. Others go out in spectacular explosions. The supernova as the universe's bonfire is the death of a massive star, collapsing and rebounding in an explosion that briefly outshines entire galaxies. The supernova as the universe's bonfire releases more energy in a few seconds than the sun will emit in its entire lifetime. Its fire at its most extreme, a cosmic conflagration that reaches temperatures of billions of degrees. In this extreme environment, Fusion continues past iron, creating the heaviest elements through rapid neutron capture. The supernova, as the universe's bonfire, scatters these elements across space, seeding the interstellar medium with the ingredients for planets and life. The supernova, as the universe's bonfire, is both end and beginning, the death of one star, the birthing ground for future stars, planets, perhaps life. Its destruction and creation united, fire's transformative power at cosmic scale. The elements born from stellar fire. Look at a periodic table. The elements born from stellar fire include almost everything except hydrogen and helium, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, created in stars like the sun, silicon, sulfur, iron, forged in massive stars, gold, platinum, uranium, created in supernovae or neutron star collisions. The elements born from stellar fire make up everything: planets, oceans, organisms, mountains, air. Without stellar fire, the universe would contain only hydrogen and helium, unable to form rocky planets, unable to support complex chemistry or life. The elements born from stellar fire represent billions of years of cosmic alchemy, stars converting simple atoms into complex ones, scattering them through space, enabling the diversity we see today. The elements born from stellar fire are why we exist. We're built from atoms created in stars, processed through multiple generations of stellar birth and death, eventually incorporated into the molecular cloud that formed our solar system. We're made of star fire, the iron in our blood, forged in flames. Iron is special. The iron in our blood, forged in flames, came from massive stars, created in their final moments before going supernova. Iron is the endpoint of normal fusion. Fusing iron doesn't release energy, it consumes it. So when massive stars build up iron cores, fusion stops, the core collapses, and the star explodes. The iron in our blood, forged in flames, was created in that catastrophic environment, then scattered into space by the explosion. Billions of years later, some of that iron became part of Earth, some became part of you. The iron in hemoglobin, carrying oxygen through your bloodstream, was forged in a dying star's core. The iron in our blood, forged in flames, connects you directly to stellar death, to supernovae that exploded billions of years ago. When you consider that iron's journey from stellar core to supernova debris, to molecular cloud, to solar system, to planet, to organism, you realize how deeply we're connected to cosmic history. The iron in our blood, forged in flames, is ancient, precious, literally stellar. Every breath you take depends on atoms created in stellar fire, carried through space and time to become part of you. The connection between stars and sparks. A campfire spark and a distant star share more than poetic similarity. The connection between stars and sparks is physics. Both are matter releasing energy as light. Both glow because of temperature. Both follow the same laws of thermodynamics, the same principles of combustion or fusion. The connection between stars and sparks spans scales from the tiniest ember to the largest sun, but the underlying processes are related. Heat excites atoms, and excited atoms emit photons. This happens in campfire embers and in stellar atmospheres. The connection between stars and sparks means that when you watch a fire, you're witnessing the same category of phenomenon you see when you look at stars. Different details, different scales, but the same fundamental process: energy transforming matter, light emerging from heat. The connection between stars and sparks unites the small and the vast, the immediate and the cosmic, showing that the universe operates on consistent principles regardless of scale. The same physics that links all light. Whether it's a candle flame, a lightning bolt, or a distant galaxy, light follows the same rules. The same physics that links all light governs every photon, from every source, across all time. Light travels at constant speed in vacuum. It exhibits wave-particle duality. It carries energy proportional to its frequency. The same physics that links all light means a photon from your campfire and a photon from a star, billions of light years away, are fundamentally identical. Both are electromagnetic radiation. Both travel at light speed. Both interact with matter the same way. The same physics that links all light unifies our experience of illumination. When you see firelight dancing on walls, starlight twinkling overhead, or sunlight streaming through windows, you're experiencing the same phenomenon, photons stimulating receptors in your eyes, translated by your brain into the experience we call vision. The same physics that links all light connects every luminous moment, every glowing experience, into a single unified phenomenon. The ancient flame inside every atom. Atoms themselves contain immense energy. The ancient flame inside every atom is the binding energy in atomic nuclei, the mass energy equivalence that Einstein revealed. Every atom carries energy from its formation. Carbon atoms forged in stellar cores, oxygen atoms created through fusion. The ancient flame inside every atom is why nuclear reactions release so much energy. When atoms fuse or split, small amounts of mass convert directly to energy. That conversion, E=O, releases millions of times more energy than chemical reactions. The ancient flame inside every atom has been there since the atom's creation. Sometimes billions of years ago, it persists, stable, waiting. The ancient flame inside every atom is what powers stars, what makes nuclear energy possible, what represents the universe's fundamental energy storage mechanism. We're surrounded by atoms carrying this ancient flame, stable matter containing enormous potential energy, a reminder that the universe's fire isn't just invisible flames but encoded in matter itself. The fire we carry within ourselves. Humans generate heat. The fire we carry within ourselves is metabolism, the biochemical combustion that powers life. We consume fuel, food, and oxidize it, breaking down complex molecules and combining them with oxygen, releasing energy. The fire we carry within ourselves is controlled combustion, happening in every cell, regulated by enzymes, producing heat and energy without flame. We're warm-blooded because of this internal fire. Our body temperature stays around 37 degrees Celsius because we're constantly burning fuel. The fire we carry within ourselves is literally combustion, the same chemistry as burning wood, just slower, cooler, more controlled. Glucose plus oxygen yields carbon dioxide, water, and energy. It's the same equation, the same process. The fire we carry within ourselves connects us to all fire, shows that we're not separate from the process, but participants, our very lives depending on controlled burning, on transformation, on the same principles that govern flames. The metaphor of passion and life. Fire appears constantly in how we describe human experience. The metaphor of passion and life uses fire to represent intensity, emotion, energy. We speak of burning passion, of flames of desire, of sparks of inspiration. We say someone is on fire when they're performing well. We describe passionate people as fiery. The metaphor of passion and life works because fire embodies qualities we associate with vitality, energy, transformation, warmth, light. Fire moves, changes, responds, seems alive. So we use it to describe liveliness in ourselves and others. The metaphor of passion and life appears across languages and cultures, suggesting it's fundamental to human thought. We understand ourselves through fire, see our internal experiences reflected in external flames. The metaphor of passion and life isn't just linguistic convenience. It's recognition of similarity. We are, literally, fires burning through time, consuming resources, releasing energy, existing in the act of transformation. The inner flame of inspiration. When an idea strikes, we say a light bulb went on. The inner flame of inspiration is fire as a metaphor for creativity, insight, understanding, ideas, spark. Creativity burns. Innovation ignites. The inner flame of inspiration captures the feeling of sudden clarity, of energy and excitement that accompanies discovery. The inner flame of inspiration suggests that creativity, like fire, requires fuel, knowledge, experience, heat, effort, focus, and oxygen, openness, freedom. Without all three, the flame doesn't ignite. The inner flame of inspiration also suggests that creativity, like fire, is transformative. It takes existing materials, ideas, experiences, knowledge, and transforms them into something new. The inner flame of inspiration is valued across cultures because inspiration is what drives progress, art, innovation. When we cultivate this inner flame, tending it, feeding it, protecting it, we're participating in the same process our ancestors did when they maintained their fires, keeping alive something precious, something transformative, something that lights the way forward. The fire of the human spirit. Humans are resilient, persistent, creative. The fire of the human spirit describes our capacity to endure, to overcome, to persevere. When we face hardship, we speak of keeping the fire burning, not letting it be extinguished. The fire of the human spirit is hope, determination, the refusal to give up. The fire of the human spirit can dim but never completely dies as long as life persists. It can be rekindled, fanned back to brightness, even from the smallest ember. The fire of the human spirit is what drives us forward, individually and collectively. It's what rebuilt after disasters, what fought through oppression, what explored, invented, created. The fire of the human spirit is passed from generation to generation, like a torch relay stretching across history. Each generation tends the fire, adds fuel, passes it forward. The fire of the human spirit is humanity's essence, the quality that defines us, the flame that separates us from inert matter, the light that guides us through darkness, the symbol of hope and renewal. In darkest times, fire represents hope. The symbol of hope and renewal appears in how we use light metaphorically. A single candle in darkness symbolizes hope, persisting against odds. The Olympic flame represents renewal of ideals. Memorial flames honor those who died. Birthday candles mark another year, another chance. The symbol of hope and renewal works because fire transforms darkness, cold, despair into light, warmth, possibility. It represents the potential for change, for things to get better, for new beginnings. The symbol of hope and renewal is powerful because it's active. Fire doesn't just exist, it does something. It transforms, it provides, it enables. When we light fires for hope and renewal, we're participating in ritual as old as humanity, using fire to mark transitions, to acknowledge loss, to celebrate persistence, to declare that despite everything, the light continues, life continues, hope remains. The symbol of hope and renewal in fire reflects our deepest human needs, for light in darkness, warmth in cold, meaning in chaos. The light that never truly dies. Individual fires die, but fire itself persists. The light that never truly dies continues across generations. Someone always tends a flame somewhere. If every fire went out, new ones would start, from lightning, from friction, from chemistry. Fire is potential, waiting in every piece of wood, every molecule of fuel. The light that never truly dies exists as possibility, as the chemical bond storing energy, as the oxygen in the air, as the heat of the sun. As long as these exist, fire can return. The light that never truly dies is also metaphorical. Ideas pass from mind to mind. Knowledge transmits across generations. The flame of civilization, of culture, of understanding continues not because any individual carries it completely, but because we share it, pass it forward, each person adding fuel, keeping it alive. The light that never truly dies is humanity's collective effort across time, each generation receiving, tending, and passing forward, the accumulated wisdom, knowledge, and culture that defines us. The fire that drives creation. Artists speak of creative fire. The fire that drives creation is motivation, energy, the compulsion to make, to express, to build. Without this inner fire, art doesn't happen. Novels don't get written. Paintings remain unpainted. Songs stay unsung. The fire that drives creation is fed by passion, curiosity, the need to communicate, to understand, to leave something behind. The fire that drives creation consumes time, energy, focus. These are its fuel. It transforms raw materials, ideas, experiences, emotions into finished works, art, inventions, insights. The fire that drives creation is the same transformative process we see in physical fire applied to human endeavor. The fire that drives creation can burn bright or low, can sustain for lifetimes or flicker briefly, but when present, it's unmistakable. The energy, the focus, the sense of purpose. The fire that drives creation is what produces everything humans make that isn't purely functional. It's the excess, the beauty, the meaning beyond mere survival. The dance of energy in all things. Everything is energy in motion. The dance of energy in all things includes fire, but extends beyond it. Electrons orbit nuclei. Molecules vibrate. Heat flows from hot to cold. Energy cascades from one form to another. Never created or destroyed, only transformed. The dance of energy in all things is constant, universal, fundamental. Fire is one manifestation, chemical energy transforming to light and heat. But life is another, food energy transforming to movement and thought. Stars are another, nuclear energy transforming to light and gravity. The dance of energy in all things connects everything. Every process is energy flowing, transforming, finding new forms. The dance of energy in all things is beautiful because it means nothing is static. Everything moves, changes, participates in the ongoing transformation that is the universe. Fire is visible energy, easy to see and feel, but the same dance happens everywhere, in everything, all the time. Energy flowing, changing form, driving the endless transformation that is existence. The cycle of burning and becoming. Fire consumes fuel and produces ash, but ash fertilizes soil, which grows new trees, which become fuel for future fires. The cycle of burning and becoming is endless transformation. Nothing is lost. Matter changes form, but persists. Energy disperses, but remains in the system. The cycle of burning and becoming operates at every scale. In ecosystems, fire cycles nutrients. In stars, fusion creates elements. In organisms, metabolism transforms food. The cycle of burning and becoming means endings aren't final, they're transitions. Death becomes life. Destruction becomes creation. The cycle of burning and becoming challenges linear thinking. We think in terms of before and after, beginning and end, but nature operates in cycles. The ending is also a beginning. The ashes contain the next forest. The dying star creates elements for new planets. The cycle of burning and becoming is nature's way. The pattern that sustains life, maintains diversity, ensures that nothing ends without also beginning something new. The harmony between destruction and growth. Fire seems destructive, but it enables growth. The harmony between destruction and growth is visible in fire-adapted ecosystems, where regular burning maintains health. It's visible in the creative process, where old ideas must be abandoned for new ones to emerge. The harmony between destruction and growth teaches that these aren't opposites, but partners. You can't have one without the other. Growth requires making space, and making space requires clearing what was there before. The harmony between destruction and growth is why fire works as a metaphor for so much of life. Change requires letting go. Renewal requires ending. New growth requires making room. The harmony between destruction and growth isn't always comfortable. Destruction hurts, even when necessary. But the harmony is real, visible, essential. Without it, systems become stagnant, unable to adapt, vulnerable to catastrophic change. The harmony between destruction and growth is nature's way of ensuring resilience, flexibility, the capacity to respond to change. The beauty of impermanence. Fire teaches us that nothing lasts. The beauty of impermanence is that each moment is unique, unrepeatable, precious, because it's temporary. Each flame is different. Each fire burns once and never again exactly that way. The beauty of impermanence makes fire meaningful. If flames lasted forever, unchanging, they'd be boring. Their beauty lies in their transience, the flickering, the dancing, the eventual fading. The beauty of impermanence extends beyond fire to all of existence. Everything changes. Nothing is permanent. This isn't cause for despair, but for appreciation. The beauty of impermanence teaches presence, attention, gratitude. When you watch a fire, knowing it will die, you pay attention. You appreciate it now, in this moment, while it burns. The beauty of impermanence is Buddhist wisdom, Stoic acceptance, existential recognition that meaning comes not from permanence, but from engagement with the fleeting present. The beauty of impermanence is why we gather around fires, why we watch flames, why we find peace in their temporary light. The lessons fire teaches about change. Fire is transformation made visible. The lessons fire teaches about change include change is natural, change requires energy, change can't be stopped, only directed. Fire shows that change isn't good or bad, it just is. Wood becomes ash, but ash becomes soil, which grows new wood. The lessons fire teaches about change include that resistance is futile. You can't prevent fire from burning fuel. You can only manage it, direct it, work with it. Fighting change exhausts you. Accepting and guiding it is wiser. The lessons fire teaches about change include that transformation is powerful. Fire's ability to reshape matter, to unlock energy, to create and destroy, shows what happens when change is unleashed. The lessons fire teaches about change are ancient wisdom. So watch fire long enough, and you understand that everything flows, that holding on is impossible, that the only constant is transformation. Fire teaches change, not through words, but through being. It is change, pure and visible, teaching by example every time it burns. The stillness at the edge of the flame. Right at the boundary between flame and air, there's a moment of transition. The stillness at the edge of the flame is where transformation happens, where fuel becomes something else. It's not truly still. Molecules are moving, reacting, changing, but there's a quality of threshold, of boundary, of being between states. The stillness at the edge of the flame is where the flame meets the world, where fire and not fire touch. It's a liminal space, neither fully one nor the other. The stillness at the edge of the flame invites contemplation. It's where you see the flame most clearly, where its structure is visible, where you can watch the transformation happening. The stillness at the edge of the flame is metaphor for all boundaries, all transitions, between sleeping and waking, between known and unknown, between what was and what will be. The stillness at the edge of the flame teaches that boundaries aren't walls, but zones of transformation, spaces where change happens, where one thing becomes another. The meditative power of watching fire. Countless studies confirm what humans have known intuitively for millennia. The meditative power of watching fire is real, measurable, beneficial. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, stress hormones decrease, brain waves shift toward alpha patterns associated with relaxation. The meditative power of watching fire comes from several sources. The rhythmic flickering provides a focus without being demanding. The warmth is comforting. The sound is soothing. The associations, safety, home, community, trigger positive responses. The meditative power of watching fire is why people pay for screensavers of fireplaces. why fire pits are popular in outdoor spaces, why candles create atmosphere. We seek fire's presence, even when we don't need its heat or light. The meditative power of watching fire is evolutionary, psychological, and practical. It works because our brains are wired to respond to fire, because fire rewards attention, because watching flames induces a state of calm alertness, relaxed but not drowsy, engaged but not tense. The meditative power of watching fire is ancient medicine for modern stress, the hypnotic flicker that soothes the mind. There's something about fire's movement that captures attention. The hypnotic flicker that soothes the mind occupies consciousness without overwhelming it. It's complex enough to stay interesting, but not so complex that it's exhausting. The hypnotic flicker that soothes the mind works because it's fractal, patterns within patterns, similarity across scales. Fire is never still, never boring, never fully predictable. Yet it's not chaotic. There's structure, rhythm, recognizable patterns. The hypnotic flicker that soothes the mind creates a state psychologists call soft fascination, gentle engagement that allows the mind to wander while maintaining a loose focus. This state is restorative, allowing the brain's default mode network to activate, which is when insight, creativity, and processing happen. The hypnotic flicker that soothes the mind is why people can watch fire for hours without boredom, why fire is universal entertainment, why it remains compelling, despite having no plot, no narrative, no obvious content. The content is the flicker itself, endlessly variable, endlessly fascinating. The connection between fire and time. Fire marks time. The connection between fire and time is ancient. Candles burned down, measuring hours. Fire clocks used precisely calibrated candles or oil lamps as timekeepers. Incense clocks marked time by how much had burned. The connection between fire and time is visible in every fire's arc: ignition, growth, peak, decline, extinction. This mirrors life's trajectory, seasons' cycles, days' progression. The connection between fire and time teaches that time is transformation. We measure time by change, planets moving, pendulums swinging, atoms vibrating. Fire is change made visible, transformation you can watch. The connection between fire and time appears in language. We speak of burning daylight, of time running out like a fuse burning down. The connection between fire and time reminds us that time isn't a background against which things happen. Time is change, and fire, constant transformation, is time made tangible, visible, warm. Every burning fire is a clock, marking the passage of moments through transformation. The flame is a living clock. A candle burns at a predictable rate. The flame, as a living clock, measures time through consumption. Before mechanical clocks became common, people used this. Candles marked in increments, oil lamps, calibrated to burn specific hours. The flame as a living clock is imperfect by modern standards, but was sufficient for centuries. The flame as a living clock teaches that time is resource, that it's finite, that it burns away whether we pay attention or not. Watching a candle burn down is watching time pass, made literal and visible. The flame as a living clock can't be paused or rewound. Once burned, the wax is gone, that time is past. The flame as a living clock is memento mori, reminder of mortality, visualization of how life consumes itself to create light and warmth. The flame as a living clock measures not just hours, but life itself. We burn, we give off light and heat, we consume ourselves in the process of living, and eventually, we go out. The light that marks every civilization. Every human civilization has used fire. The light that marks every civilization is firelight. Hearth fires, ceremonial flames, forge fires, lighthouse beacons. Fire enabled civilization, and civilization is marked by fire's presence. The light that marks every civilization appears in archaeological records, ancient hearths, fire-hardened clay, charcoal deposits, fire-cracked stone. These marks tell us where humans lived, what they ate, how they worked. The light that marks every civilization continues today in different forms. Every city glows at night, a collective fire of millions of lights. The light that marks every civilization has changed from open flame to electric bulb, but the purpose remains. We light the darkness, we create warmth, we gather around light sources. The light that marks every civilization is humanity's signature, the evidence of our presence, the marker that says here humans lived, creating light, pushing back darkness, transforming their environment through controlled fire. The eternal flames, still burning on Earth. Some fires have burned for extraordinary lengths of time. The eternal flames still burning on Earth include natural gas vents that have burned for centuries or millennia. Burning Mountain in Australia has been aflame for about 6,000 years. A coal seam fire that continues underground. The door to hell in Turkmenistan has burned since 1971, when Soviet geologists lit it, and it shows no signs of stopping. The eternal flames still burning on Earth includes sacred fires maintained by human effort. Zoroastrian fire temples, some claiming flames over 1,500 years old. Though whether they've truly burned continuously is debated, the eternal flames still burning on Earth remind us that fire, properly fed, can persist indefinitely. They're outliers, unusual cases, but they prove that fire's nature isn't to die quickly. Given enough fuel, fire will burn for as long as conditions allow. The eternal flames still burning on Earth are wonders, anomalies that capture imagination because they violate expectations. We expect fire to die. These flames refuse. The fire of volcanoes beneath our feet. Earth's interior is hot, and occasionally, that heat emerges. The fire of volcanoes beneath our feet isn't combustion. It's molten rock, heated by radioactive decay and residual heat from Earth's formation. But it looks like fire, behaves like fire, and represents the same principle: energy, stored and released. The fire of volcanoes beneath our feet reminds us that we live on a thin crust over an incredibly hot interior. Volcanic eruptions are that inner fire breaking through, lava flowing, ash rising, energy released in spectacular fashion. The fire of volcanoes beneath our feet has shaped Earth's history, creating mountains, building islands, enriching soil, influencing climate. The fire of volcanoes beneath our feet is primal, powerful, a reminder that Earth itself is dynamic, not static. The planet is still cooling from its formation 4.6 billion years ago. That cooling will continue for billions more years. Until then, the fire of volcanoes beneath our feet remains, occasionally bursting forth, showing us the heat that lies below, the lightning that sparks in the sky. Lightning is atmospheric electricity, but it's also fire's spark. The lightning that sparks in the sky can ignite fires, and has done so throughout Earth's history. Lightning is how forests burn naturally, how fire enters ecosystems without human intervention. The lightning that sparks in the sky is incredibly hot. A lightning bolt can reach 30,000 degrees Celsius, 5 times hotter than the sun's surface. This extreme heat can instantly ignite dry vegetation. The lightning that sparks in the sky strikes Earth about 100 times per second, over 3 billion strikes per year globally. Most don't cause fires, but some do, and these fires have shaped ecosystems for millions of years. The lightning that sparks in the sky is nature's ignition source, the way fire returns to landscapes even if every flame went out. As long as there's atmosphere, moisture, temperature differences, there will be lightning. And as long as there's lightning, there will be fire. The balance that keeps fire alive. Fire is delicate, requiring constant balance. The balance that keeps fire alive is between fuel, heat, and oxygen. Remove any one, and fire dies. Too much of one, without enough of others, and fire struggles. The balance that keeps fire alive is dynamic, constantly adjusting. As fuel heats up, it releases more gases, which burn more intensely, creating more heat. But if heat disperses, the reaction slows. If oxygen is restricted, combustion becomes incomplete. The balance that keeps fire alive is what firekeepers manage, adding fuel at the right time, arranging it for airflow, maintaining optimal conditions. The balance that keeps fire alive mirrors balance in life. Too much or too little of essential elements causes problems. Success requires maintaining equilibrium, adjusting constantly, responding to changing conditions. The balance that keeps fire alive is active, demanding attention, rewarding skill. It's why fire is an art as much as science, why tending fire is satisfying, why keeping fire alive is an achievement that connects us to ancestors who did the same. The element that connects us to the cosmos. Fire links the human to the universal. The element that connects us to the cosmos is visible in every flame. When you light a fire, you're participating in the same process that powers stars, that shaped the universe, that created the atoms in your body. The element that connects us to the cosmos shows that we're not separate from the universe, but part of it. The same laws govern campfire and supernova. The same physics explains candlelight and starlight. The element that connects us to the cosmos is energy in transformation, matter becoming light, the dance of chemistry and physics that is fundamental to existence. When you sit by a fire, you're watching the universe do what it does: transform, release energy, create light from darkness, warmth from cold. The element that connects us to the cosmos makes every fire a meditation on our place in existence, a reminder that we're made of stardust, powered by cosmic fire, part of the ongoing transformation that is the universe's story. The endless dance of light and heat. Fire never stops moving. The endless dance of light and heat continues as long as fuel remains, as long as oxygen flows, as long as temperature stays high enough. The endless dance of light and heat is what makes fire mesmerizing, what keeps us watching, what provides endless variation. No two moments of fire are identical. Each flicker is unique, each flame configuration ephemeral. The endless dance of light and heat is energy in motion, the visible manifestation of transformation. Atoms breaking apart, recombining, releasing energy in the process. That energy appears as heat, warming your hands, warming the air, and as light, illuminating darkness, casting dancing shadows. The endless dance of light and heat is life's pattern: constant motion, constant change, energy flowing through systems, creating beauty, creating warmth, creating the conditions for existence. The endless dance of light and heat is fire's gift, its essential nature, the reason it captivates. Fire is pure process, pure transformation, pure dance, never still, never finished, alive in every moment until it ends.